everybody, my name is Liz. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video and I'm excited that you're here. What we're going to be talking about on my channel is a lot of things dealing with creativity and exploring how we can use creativity in our own lives to bring us joy. One of the ways that I like to do that is by using my bullet journal. Bullet journaling is a system of using a journal to be creative and be productive, or just be productive. You don't have to have the creative end of things if you don't want. What I really enjoy about bullet journaling is it gives me an ability to span everything out in the week so that I don't feel rushed or overwhelmed with all of my to-do lists. I also find it very fun and therapeutic to kind of figure out the themes and figure out what I can do to make things look very pretty. I've had a lot of people ask me how to do bullet journaling, and so that's what this video is about. I have my journal. It's an Archer and Olive B5. It's from the collaboration that they did with Elizabeth from Plant Based Bride here on YouTube and on Instagram. So I have this setup ready to go, and we're going to ink it today and show you some of the different things I like to put in the beginning of my journal. This is going to cover 12 months for me, but sometimes people use a smaller journal and they can only get 3 or 6 months in. It depends on what you include. There can be lists and favorites and movies you want to watch and books you want to read. I particularly have my own extra journal called a reading journal where I keep everything in there. This one is used for my to-do lists and meal planning and goal setting and project management. And I'm excited to share with you something that you might find something to help in your life. So grab yourself a journal, a notebook, a composition notebook, a legal pad, a pen, a pencil, an eraser if the pencil doesn't have one, and maybe a ruler, and we'll get started real quick here. Well, here we have my front cover page. I decided to add the name of my journal to the front cover page. It is Nova. I chose the name because Nova means new beginning, and I always think the beginning of the year is a fresh start. It's pretty. It's just fitting. It's kind of like naming a car. You don't really have to do this with your journals. It's just something to personalize it a bit more. Here I am using a circle tool. It's beneficial to get those circles made quickly. What I like about it is the number of different shapes you can use. I'm kind of using these front two pages as just, a nameplate. So I've added in my name and I've added in my Instagram handle, which is sharing my art. And I'm using what's called faux calligraphy, and I'll explain that more in one of the future pages on here. The next page is a grid spacer. This is from Men Who Bullet here on YouTube. It's a B5 grid spacer that helps you break down the boxes on the page or the dots on the page into different numbers. It really helps you break them down quickly so that you can get everything set up quicker. I will go ahead and link this video below as well. He's got some great tutorials for minimalism and for project management as well. But I love this grid spacer. It's a must-have in my journal. This next page here is my quote page and Hello 22 year cover page. This quote is from Anne Frank, and it is, "What a wonderful thought it is that some of the best days of our lives haven't even happened yet." This could not mean more, and that's what I look for when I'm looking in a quote page. Something to inspire me, something to make me be thoughtful and just set my own mind in the right mindset for the year. So what I'm going to do on this page is called faux calligraphy, but I'm going to need to take a break after I finish writing the rest of this page because it can take a lot on my hand. If you do it more, it won't hurt as much, but sometimes, you know, when you're pressing hard, I always had that problem as a kid growing up with crayons. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish adding on the first layer of lettering, and I'll move on to the other page. And it looks like I start a little bit with the faux calligraphy and realize that my hand's getting tired. And I did it on the front page with Nova and with my name. And it's just makes the words look really pretty. So while I take that break, I'm going to take my 0.3 monoline fine liner pen and I'm going to work on my cover page. I chose to do florals and then to go in with ink and add some detail with different lines and decorations, just because I think it's a beautiful way to really make your cover page pop. So there I am using a little bit more of the faux calligraphy we're going to talk about, and I always love going through with a pencil first because you can really map out where you want your flowers to be just by making circles and ovals. So I started that, and then I went in and added in the center stamen part of the flower. And then I added petals in a very rough shape in pencil. Once I'm done and I think everything looks the way I want it to look, then I'll go in with a medium range fine liner pen and start doing the outlines. They're not always what my pencil marks are, and that's what I like about it, is I can use the pencil as a rough draft and then the inking as a refinement of those different petals, and they're all a little bit different, and that's fine because that's how nature is. And I decided to also add in there some tulip like flowers and poppy like flowers. They're all kind of just hinting at being an actual flower, and that's what I like about illustrative line art. See, even the leaves there, I changed some of the positions to make them look a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in and start adding some more detail. Now, adding detail for this means adding shading around some of the petals, adding some lines at the ends of the petals to make them look a little bit more delicate and more soft and fragile, as well as lines towards the center to help that center of the flower stand out. The closer you put your lines together, the more they're going to create crevices and create depth. I'm also including some areas where the petal is starting to curl. Each one is a little bit different. If you notice, they're not all the exact same, so I tried to vary where I put the centers of the flowers, because in nature everything just kind of grows where it wants to grow, and it makes the picture more dynamic than having everything look the same. I love this type of art. Look at the rose down there. It's really just a bunch of crescent shapes as they get bigger, and as you add ink to it, it can make more depth to the flower and really look like the rose has got millions of petals that are all tightly wound together. It really changes how the photo looks when you add in the extra lines. And I'm going to go in and add some lines onto the leaves as well, some singular diagonal hatching lines. And then I think I'll be going into the center of the flower and creating some different texture with circles and dots, and just, it's going to give the flower a feeling of the texture of the center of that flower. Before I work on the centers, I'm taking some time to fill in my center piece of the main focal part of the picture. I want it dark against those flowers because it's going to stand out. It's really fun to play with these. You can do tulips, you can do 5-petaled sakura or cherry blossom light flowers, you can do daisies, you can do peonies. It's really just a time to explore how to make a flower. And there's not really a whole lot of rules. There's the centers becoming darker. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add some dots to them. And it's really going to create the idea that there's these little tiny pieces coming off with the little dots on the top. All right, so now we're going to go back over and finish this quote page. Faux calligraphy is a way for you to kind of sneak in some fancy handwriting. When you write, I don't write like this all the time. This is my hand lettering style with flow calligraphy. What it is when you're putting emphasis on the downstroke of the letter, you're adding an extra thickness to it to create depth for that fancy lettering. That's all it is. Thick on the downstroke. So as you bring your pen down, wherever you bring it down in the letter is where it's going to be thick. And whenever you bring it back up again, it's going to be thin. You can get this technique by using like flexible brush tipped markers, but I'm using a fine liner here, and it works well if it doesn't take a long time because it's a big quote. It tends to make things look a little fancy and stand out better than just writing a quote on a page. What a wonderful thought it is that some of the best days of our lives haven't even happened yet. She was so wise, and sometimes I wonder what her life would have been like had she lived longer. And I'm just so grateful that we have those wonderful nuggets of inspiration from her journals with the innocence and wonder of a child and optimism of a child in such dank, dark times. It's just really, it fits this time frame so much. And then I'm going in with my Acrylograph white acrylic paint pen just to fix some of the areas where I might have missed a little bit. This next page is called a future log, and it's an essential part of most bullet journalers' initial setup. What it is a year at a glance for your big events, birthdays, anniversaries, parties, vacations. It's a place for you to log important events that are happening in a year and that you can look at it in one page. So I'm going to put 6 months down one side and 6 months down the other side. Takes a little bit of a while, but you get into kind of a groove. And I'm always double checking to make sure that I'm starting the date at the right day, because to make an error at the beginning is a little frustrating. If this is a daunting task to you, you can certainly get some stickers that are out on the market that already have the dates available on there for you. Many artists out there in the bullet journal community have them for people who don't enjoy doing the hands-on writing part of this. And that's probably what I love the most about bullet journaling. You can really make it yours. I use a lot of the creativity because that's who I am. But there are many people out there, and a lot of people here on YouTube that do minimalistic or very low-key planning. It's still beautiful. It's still functional. That's the point. And it's just a fun creative outlet that also helps with productivity. So once I'm done putting in the dates here, one thing I might do in the future is probably go in and highlight the date where I have an event. And then I'm going to take my Tombow dual brush pen, N75, and I'm going to add the date, the month of the calendar, so that's easy to kind of glance at. And then I'm just going to go on and simply highlight every other line. Kind of gives the effect of a lined journal, gives you some easy ways to add events in. And that's going to be the end of this particular page. This following page is goals and period tracker. So my goals are kind of broken up into 6 different categories. I've got personal, health, creative, social media, self-care, and work. One of my main things this year is finding boundaries and setting time aside for self-care and the things that I love and what's important to me. So I've added some of my other things there that I really like, but I'm not going to fill them in right now. Those are personal spaces for you. It can look like whatever you want. For this next page, it's for my period because I want to make sure that I'm tracking any kind of symptoms I'm having so that when I go to the doctor, I'm able to tell them if I'm getting more frequent migraines or cramping or if my periods are getting erratic. I think it's really important for female health to have this. So it's going to have the whole year on there, and I've got a key where I'm going to write things like starting days, stopping days, possibly spotting days, different kinds of particular symptoms that I am tracking, like migraines. And then I'll probably go in and give some little color designation or picture or symbol that I can go along with it. And each one of those days is on a dot. So by the time I fill this all out, it'll have 31 dots for the days and stuff like that. This next page is really cool. It's a project management page called a Kanban board. And I first saw this on here on YouTube from Plant-Based Bride. I've kind of tweaked it for my own style here because I wanted a place to be able to organize for my future videos. So on the left-hand side of the page is going to be my video production Kanban board, and the other side is going to be for my hobbies. What it is 10 different slots on the page. Each of them are a different part of the video production process. Planning, outlining, filming, cutting, correcting any color, adding any videos, things of that nature, all the way through publication. And I'm going to color in these 10 different spots, and then I'm going to use Post-it notes to help me keep a management on some of my different projects I've got going on. For hobbies, I've actually split it onto 2 on that page. There's going to be on the left-hand side of that page is for my art and my drawing and personal art or project art, I guess you would say. So brainstorming or inspiration and the whole process behind creating a work from inspiration all the way through to final piece details and sharing. And then on the right-hand side of this page is for my sewing projects and my crocheting projects where I can brainstorm or I know where the idea is and I want to do it, but I haven't done it yet. And then there's purchasing material or purchasing art supplies or craft supplies or yarn. or pulling from my inventory of stuff, because I do have a studio where I have a bunch of things to use and projects to do. And then cutting and prepping the project, doing the project, having it in process, and finally like finishing the project, and of course celebrating and probably sharing on social media. I love sharing creative pursuits because all it does is inspire more creative pursuits. So you'll see the bright orange Post-it notes, and those will have the name of the project, possibly a due date, or who it belongs to, like if it's a commission, and I'll put them wherever I'm at. So you'll see me here write my names of the 3 current videos I'm working on, and they'll be in different stages, so it'll help me really know where I'm at with everything, and hopefully it'll help me get on top of making videos in a more timely fashion. All right, this is one of my favorite pages, and it's the last page in this initial setup. It's called Favorite Meals, and I found it on Pinterest when I first started bullet journaling and have really taken a liking to it. I think this is probably my 4th time putting it in a bullet journal. The concept here is on the left-hand side of the page, you're going to write down your favorite meals by protein. We all tend to like gravitate towards the same like 10 to 15 types of foods and recipes, and so this is a place for me to write them down, add them onto Post-it notes. I forgot turkey on here, which you can tell this is a setup from the original time I did this, because before we were eating a lot more beef. Now we eat a little bit more chicken, turkey, fish. I've got vegetarian and vegan there. And then on the right-hand side of the page is going to be my meal planning and shopping list. So I can use the Post-it notes from the left-hand side of the page to help me figure out what we're having for the week. And one thing I always want to remind people is don't forget to make a few Post-it notes that have leftovers on them, because you're going to need that if you cook like I cook sometimes. And it really helps you clean out the fridge, or fend for yourself night, or snack night. There's also a spot for a shopping list, and I tend to take Post-it notes that are lined and look kind of like a legal pad and cut them and place them in there. So as I'm meal planning, I can also say, okay, here's what I need to buy. And then I can take that piece of paper with me to the grocery store and get everything I need to buy for the week. It's really helpful to have everything in one place like this. So I'll add some more in there, and then I can put them back on the other side when I'm changing them up. Yes, the Post-it notes will eventually fall and they won't be sticky anymore, so you might have to replace them. And that is the end of the setup. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take you through a walkthrough of this whole thing, starting with the front page and the name that I chose for my journal, Nova, and my name and where you can find me on Instagram. The Men Who Bullets B5 grid spacing time saver that I love so much. I have my quote page and my Hello 2022 cover page with the line art. My future log all ready for things to fill up, hopefully more so than last year. My private personal page that I'm not showing anyone, and my goals page, and my period tracker, my Kanban board with my hobbies. I'm so looking forward to using this. And my meal planning and favorite meals page. These could definitely go in a separate journal for collections. If you wanted to include recipes, it would be kind of neat. I'm always thinking outside the box when using journals, because there are definitely different ways to use them. And then just a little sneak peek of my January. And here you go. That's what you've got. Thanks. Now that we've been through the initial setup of the journal, I hope you're feeling a little more comfortable about starting your own journal. If you don't have your journal yet and you want to have one of these Archer and Olive journals, you can use my affiliate link below and go and get yourself 10% off on your order. When you use the link or my code SMA10, you are supporting me and this channel, and I get a small commission based off of the sales. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does support me when you use it. They have many different options for sizes and colors and linen covers and vegan leather covers, and the company itself is something to support. It's a small business, and they are 100% in the business to help people with mental health awareness by using journaling in a mindful manner. I'm an affiliate for them because I care about their values, and I think that everyone could benefit from journaling, or whether it's bullet journaling or writing your feelings down or doing art or sketching. Any of those things are going to help you process through whatever you're working on in your life. And let's face it, we all have things that we're going through right now. So I'll leave those links below. And again, if you want to follow me and subscribe, you can do that down below. You can also hit the notification button. That will tell you when I have a new video. And I'll be continuing to create content. The next couple things I have on deck are going to be my January setup. Yes, I know I'm halfway through the month, but as I'm new to this videoing, it's going to take me some time to get my groove down. I also have a reading journal that I've set up for the year. Last year I read 102 books, and I used a reading journal for the first time, and it was fantastic to track what I'm buying, track what I'm loaning from the library or from my Kindle Unlimited, track what kind of books I'm reading. It's all interesting information to me, and it also gives me an opportunity to challenge myself, and so I'm excited about those couple videos coming up. If you have an idea of something you'd like to hear me cover, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Also, what would you use your bullet journal for, or a journal in general? Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks. Bye.